Hello and welcome back to our latest A Token War video. Sometimes you may find that battles feel much harder than those that came before, and may even feel impossible to win. This is often due to sticking with a strategy that may have worked well for you before, but might not be the most helpful in your current situation. Your enemies are crafty, and you should take many factors into account when setting up your fighting force. This time around, we're going to discuss the different ways you can adjust your strategy and deck in these situations to help turn your defeats into victories. With such a large number of tokens and spells available to you from fairly early in the game, one of the best places to look when unable to win a fight is what tokens and spells you're bringing into battle. Oftentimes it's tempting to bring the tokens with the biggest numbers to instantly overwhelm your opponent, or use a fully attack-based team to lay waste to the enemy. But sometimes this can lead to a very short battle with you left waving the white flag. After losing a battle, consider the tokens used by your opponent and try to use any of yours that counter their strategies. For example, if all of your close quarters tokens quickly get destroyed by ranged attacks, consider swapping some of them out for ranged tokens to allow the heavy hitters to reach their target. Similarly, you can also use the hardier high health units to advance on weak ranged enemy tokens to dispatch them before they can whittle down your troops. If you find yourself constantly running out of units too quickly, adding a training camp or two will allow you to call fresh reinforcements every few turns that, although weak, could turn the tide of battle by sheer numbers alone. The same rules apply for spells. At the start of battle, carefully look over the enemy forces and try to pick spells that work best in that scenario. Sometimes choosing high damage spells to immediately take out the largest enemy threats is your best option, while other times a more passive healing or buffing combination is the best approach. Taking these factors into consideration can help you change that retreat into a victory march. Another aspect to consider is the board itself. Sometimes simply changing the layout of your tokens at the start of battle can greatly change the outcome. As an example, if you're using the battle commanders or ward generators, be sure to place them so that they can be of optimal use to units that you want buffed or shielded. A ward generator is worthless if the units around it immediately charge into battle, and a battle commander can't inspire their troops if they're surrounded by structures. Different elevations are also something to consider. They can grant buffs to tokens and prevent some attacks and moves from being performed. So smart token placement before battle and careful control of these areas during the fighting can make all the difference. At times it may be prudent to perch a lowly grunt or archer up high and allow it to fend off superior forces while you make key moves elsewhere. Finally, the best way to tackle any difficult fight is to simply change your approach and strategy. No two battles are the same, and an all-out attack in one battle may be disastrous in the next. Biding your time and waiting to consolidate your forces before striking can also be a great strategy, but may instead allow some enemies to build themselves into a much more dangerous foe, such as this formidable huge grunt with the Immunify spell, which can quickly carve a path straight to your stronghold. If you find yourself overwhelmed by enemies, consider using a more focused approach to reaching the enemy base and leave some enemies alone completely, as you may do more damage than good. A great example of this early on are the bulbous worms, which summon 2 worm larvae when killed. This effectively turns one enemy into 2, and if you're not prepared for it, can lead to quickly being overrun. Changing up your offensive and defensive tactics not only keeps the enemy on their toes, but can keep you alive to fight another day. Don't be afraid to try something different in the hopes of finding a much more viable battle plan. Now that you've considered your tokens, field of battle, and how you approach each fight, you're ready to push your army forward through whatever unwisely gets in your way. Enemy strategies, skills, and abilities will continue to change battle after battle, so the better you are at changing up your strategy when needed, the better chance you stand at walking away triumphant. Until next time, use your tokens well, and we'll see you on the battlefield.